Help me hit 7,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you. I didn't expect the knock at 11 p.m. That hour already carries a certain weight. The world is quiet, honest in a way daylight never is. I was sitting alone on the couch, lights low, TV muted, pretending I wasn't waiting for something to happen. Then the doorbell rang. Not once, twice, sharp, urgent. When I opened the door, I didn't see my wife. I saw her sister. Her name was Alara. Not dramatic, not loud. Just standing there in a long coat, hair still damp from rain, eyes locked onto mine like she already knew how this night would end. We'd never been close, Alara and I. Cordial, polite, the kind of relationship built on shared holidays and forced smiles. She didn't say hello. She said, "Your wife is on a date with my husband. Right now." I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just waited, like maybe if I stayed still enough, the words would rearrange themselves into something less devastating. They didn't. Alara exhaled slowly, then tilted her head toward the street. "So," she said, voice calm but edged with something raw, "are you going to them? Or are you going on a date with me instead?" That was when I smiled. Not because it was funny. Not because it was clever. I smiled because something inside me finally gave up. I stepped aside and said, "Forget them. Come in." We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the same one my wife and I had eaten at for 8 years. The same scratches in the wood. The same overhead light that made everything feel exposed. Alara wrapped her hands around a mug she hadn't touched yet. I watched her fingers shake. I'd suspected something was off for months. Late nights, new passwords, a sudden interest in looking effortlessly put together for grocery runs. I told myself not to be paranoid. I told myself loyalty meant trust. Turns out loyalty can also mean denial. If this story already feels uncomfortably real, take a second to hit like so it reaches people who might need to hear it too. Alara broke the silence. "I followed them," she said. "I needed to be sure before I destroyed 2 lives in 1 sentence." I nodded. "Where are they?" "Downtown. That new wine bar," she said, "was too pretentious for you." That detail hurt more than the betrayal itself. I laughed quietly, more breath than sound. "Figures." Alara looked at me then. Really looked. Like she was seeing me not as her sister's husband, but as a man who'd just been quietly removed from his own life. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't want to be right." "Neither did I." "What would you do in this moment? Drive straight to them or sit down and hear the truth first?" Drop your answer in the comments. We talked for hours. Not about them at first, but about everything that had led us here. Missed signs. Conversations we swallowed. The way both of us had convinced ourselves that love meant endurance. Somewhere between midnight and 1 a.m., something shifted. Not attraction. Understanding. Alara finally said, "They didn't look guilty." "No," I replied. "People rarely do when they think they're entitled." She flinched at that. If you believe betrayal doesn't always start with hate but with entitlement, comment the word clarity below. At 1:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. My wife's name lit up the screen. I didn't answer. Alara watched me place the phone face down. "They'll spin it," she said. "They always do." "I know." She stood, slipped on her coat. For a moment I thought she was leaving, that this was where our paths split again. Instead, she looked at me and said, "I'm not going home tonight." Neither was I. If the story stirred something heavy, consider sharing it with someone who believes loyalty should still mean something. Stories like this travel further when they're shared. When she left at dawn, the house felt different. Not emptier, lighter, like the truth had aired out rooms I didn't know were suffocating me. By noon, I'd packed a bag. By evening, I'd spoken to a lawyer. "Before you go, I want your thoughts." Was this the beginning of healing or just the calm before chaos? Share your perspective below. And if you want more real stories about loyalty, betrayal, and self-respect, like, comment, and subscribe, because some truths are easier to face together. By the 3rd day, the silence had a shape. It followed me from room to room, sat beside me in the car, waited patiently while I brushed my teeth in the mirror we used to share. My wife hadn't come home. She hadn't called. Only one message sat unopened in my inbox, sent at 3:42 a.m., long enough to become irrelevant. I didn't read it. People imagine betrayal as explosive. Shouting, crying. Doors slammed hard enough to shake walls. But the truth is quieter. It's the slow realization that the person you defended the most was never on your side. That you were loyal to a version of them that no longer existed. Alara texted once. Just 3 words. I told him too. I stared at that sentence for a long time. 2 households collapsing in parallel. Same damage, different rooms. That afternoon I went downtown. Not to the wine bar. Not to confront anyone. I sat in a small cafe across from the courthouse and watched strangers live their normal lives. Couples laughing. Friends arguing about nothing. A man proposing badly, nervously, to a woman who said yes anyway. Life, stubborn and careless, continuing without permission. That's when it hit me. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger keeps you tied to the person who hurt you. It gives them gravity. I felt something else instead. Detachment. Clean. Final. When my wife finally came back that night, she didn't look ashamed. She looked prepared. Like she'd rehearsed the version of events where she wasn't the villain. She started talking the second she stepped inside. Words stacking on top of each other. Explanations dressed up as reasons. I let her finish. Then I said, I know. That stopped her. I know about him. I know about your sister's husband. I know how long it's been going on. Her face changed, just slightly. A crack. Not regret. Calculation. She asked how. I didn't answer. I'm done, I said instead. She laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. You're overreacting. That sentence told me everything I needed to know. I handed her the folder from the kitchen counter. Copies of bank statements. A lease application. A separation agreement drafted that morning. I'd already removed my name from joint accounts. Already called the insurance company. Already accepted that the marriage had ended long before this conversation. She stared at the papers like they were written in another language. You can't just decide this, she said. I didn't, I replied. You did. I'm just the first one to accept it. She left again. This time she packed. Alara came by 2 days later. Not late at night. Not dramatic. Just midday, sunlight filling the living room like it had something to prove. She looked different. Straighter. Lighter. The kind of calm that comes from no longer lying to yourself. He admitted it, she said. Tried to blame loneliness. Routine. Distance. I nodded. They all do. We sat quietly for a while. No tension. No expectation. Just 2 people who'd survived the same storm from different angles. I'm not here for anything complicated, she said eventually. I just didn't want to disappear without saying this wasn't your fault. That mattered more than I expected. When she left, I didn't feel loss. I felt closure. Weeks passed. The divorce moved forward in predictable steps. Paperwork. Logistics. Division without dignity. Friends chose sides quietly. Some vanished. Others surprised me. The house sold. I downsized. Learned how little I actually needed. One evening, months later, I ran into Alara at a bookstore. Pure coincidence. We smiled. Talked about nothing important. About books we never finished and places we still wanted to see. When we hugged goodbye, it felt easy. Unburdened. That's when I understood the real ending of this story. It wasn't about revenge. Or replacing anyone. Or proving something. It was about choosing not to stay where respect had expired. About realizing that loyalty without reciprocity isn't noble. The self-erasure. Some people will hear the story and focus on the affair. On the shock. On the audacity. But that's not the lesson. The lesson is simpler. When someone shows you they've already left, believe them. And when silence replaces effort, don't beg for noise. Walk away while you still recognize yourself. I didn't win anything in the dramatic sense. But I got something better. I got my clarity back.